This is Aaron Whitlow.
We don't even get an intro for this movie. That's how
Oh,
sad it is.
no, no.
I'm Brandon Spivey.
Welcome to the Mark Out Movie Podcast. And here's your intro, Brandon.
All right.
Hospitality. And you can't piss on hospitality. I won't allow it.
What would interest you? Something the size of a jumbo jet?
Have you been circumcised?
I demand a recount. I demand a recount. Okay, come on. This does not deserve to be on here.
No, it's not atrociously bad. It's not deliciously good either. It's like,
But Dan Aykroyd is the gift that keeps on giving.
is he? All right.
He is. I never seen Dan Aykroyd like this. It was a pleasantly surprise when I saw it a few years ago. I liked it much better a few years ago, though.
For those that's not knowing what we're talking about a movie by the name of Loose Cannon. I didn't have time to pull up the trailer or the poster, but I do, in fact, have the synopsis.
Please tell me what it is, because I'm very curious what this movie's truly about.
All right.
Watching it, I was like, what is this about? I love Dan Aykroyd, but what is this movie really about?
Let me tell you, for those that want to see the trailer, the poster, I'm going to show you. That's it in a nutshell.
Yes,
All right.
It's great.
All right. So, an unconventional cop who doesn't take any bull is paired up with an amazing detective to capture some powerful criminals, but the cop soon realizes that his by-the-book partner has split personality disorder. Starring Gene Hackman, Dan Aykroyd,
Mm-hmm.
Dom DeLuise, Ronnie Cox from RoboCop fame,
And Beverly Hills Cop.
Beverly Hills Cop fame. Also, Nancy Travis, which you might know her from other little movies and stuff back, especially in the 80s and 90s. And then Robert Prosky, who I kind of marked out when I saw. Robert Prosky, he's been in a lot of different things. Here he is. But I know him the best for Gremlins 2. He played the guy dressed like Dracula, the host of the monster show, but he really wanted to be a news reporter. And when the Gremlins took over the building, he got his opportunity to be that news reporter with what's his name from he's a big, back in the day when they wanted to cast an Asian actor, they would cast him Long Duck Dong with Long Duck Dong. There was his like partner in that. You remember Long Duck Dong?
I can't say that I do. Interesting name though.
He's from he was in 16 Candles. He was the guy that the foreign exchange student. He was in UHF. He was the one that said, "Stupid! You're so stupid." He's like, just Long Duck Down, man. Long Duck Down. It's a real guy.
One more time.
Long Duck Down. He's real. Long Duck Down was the dude back in the day. I'm gonna say his name.
Thank
you. Anyway, this movie.
You're just trying to get canceled, I swear.
This movie starts. It came out in 1990. I feel like it was probably shot back in like the mid 80s. I think it felt like it shot about like 87, 88, and was put on the shelf and got released in 1990. That's how I felt.
That's how you felt.
Because it had David Allen Greer in it as well at the very beginning of the movie. You don't see him again, but I was excited to see David Allen Greer, but you don't get David Allen Greer
For 2 minutes. You were excited for 2 minutes.
for 2 minutes. Also, the other guy, who's Westkit. He was like the other cop that I always gave him a hard time. This guy, he always plays sleazebag
Yeah.
and everything.
Except for the Patriot. He's a good guy in that. With Mel Gibson, Heath Ledger.
Oh yeah. He's an 8-legged freak. Is Wade? Yeah. But anyway, it starts off. The movie starts off
Weird.
weird. It's like, I was like, I felt like it's starting at the like the climax of the movie, like the tail end, and I was like, what's happening? It's like a speed chase on boats, and I said, wait, is that Dom DeLuise? Is that a severed head? Like, these are all things I audibly said while I was watching this, and then I said, what did Brandon choose?
I knew you would have a certain reaction. I chose it for Dan Aykroyd though, because I wanted. He's like, I love him in this. I still love him in this. I was laughing in this. I really laughed hard once when he's the Roadrunner. I'm about to fall off the couch, man. I love seeing Dan like this. Like this is something he didn't usually get to do. Slapstick or to be extremely silly. He's always the straight guy usually, in his comedy movies. But in this, he's not. And I loved it. I don't say I love the movie, but I love him in the movie. When he's not involved in the movie, it doesn't work for me. But
So
yeah.
Gene didn't keep you interested.
Gene's Gene, but he's
Gene
not.
He is the stereotypical loose, if you want to say it, the loose cannon, the road cop, the cop that doesn't play by nobody's playbook, or play by anybody's rules. He's the Axel Foley, or the
I don't know if you agree with this comparison, but this is a white man's version of 48 Hours, except it's not Eddie Murphy. It's a cop with a mental disorder instead. But essentially, Gene Hackman is playing Nick Nolte's character, essentially. Would you agree or disagree with that?
I would agree with that. I would give credit to Eddie Murphy, Nick Nolte, 48 Hours. That predated Beverly Hills Cop, right?
Yes.
Or
82.
Yeah.
I think 2 years before. Yeah.
Then 80 Beverly Hills Cop maybe made that trope what it is. Beverly Hills Cop was the one that solidified that trope. The buddy cop film type of genre. But I would say that this movie owes 48 Hours and Beverly Hills Cop in a sense of like the way that, because Axel Foley was a cop that would wear a Detroit Lions jacket. He didn't wear like a uniform, he wore a Detroit Lions jacket. In here, Gene Hackman wears a Washington Redskins jacket.
May they rest in peace.
Yeah, they are the Commanders now.
Yeah, they are the Commanders. Yeah, it's my brother's favorite team. I kind of marked out when I saw the Redskins jacket. It's like, well, rest in peace, Redskins.
It was an iconic name for the team. Iconic time for the team. Do we still have the Indians? The Indians. We still have the Indians.
They went to Guardians.
Guardians? That's not. It's not as cool of a name. Do we still have we have the Chiefs? Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah, Chiefs are still with us.
Yeah, but I assume they don't have the any Chief emblem logos.
Yeah, still the same. They didn't change.
Okay.
They're Kansas City.
Okay. Yeah.
They go to Super Bowl every year. They ain't changing.
What you mean to get to the playoffs every year?
They go to Super Bowl every year, just about, except for the one year we knocked them out.
Is that with the one quarterback, the young guy?
Mahomes. Yeah.
Mahomes. Yeah, he's probably the best quarterback in the league right now. Yeah.
He's probably not, but well, we can agree to disagree with that. But he's
Who
not.
would you say? Who would you say?
Well, I mean, Josh Allen just beating, everybody's not everybody, but most people have outplayed him this year. Why are we getting on football, Aaron?
Take the Redskins, Brandon. To the Redskins. But all right.
But he'll be back in the Super Bowl and he'll probably win again.
The first, after this first opening scene to kind of set up what happened, I was distracted because I was like, Dom DeLuise is in here. For anyone who don't know, Dom DeLuise was an actor and a legitimate chef, who was comedic actor. He was featured heavily in a lot of Mel Brooks films. He was always a flamboyant type of larger than life type of character, actor. I don't know when he died. I felt like he died early 90s. So this might have been one of his last movies. But Dom DeLuise was like, I always liked Dom DeLuise. And so seeing him in this movie kind of made me excited to see him. They don't do much with him, but I was excited. They do. He's in throughout the movie once he's in it. So I'm saying, I felt like kind of wasted. I felt like they didn't know what they really wanted in this movie. They said, Dan Aykroyd, ad lib, and go. And Dan gave them what they wanted.
Oh, he definitely gave them what they wanted. I mean, I've never seen him like this before. I haven't seen him like this since either. So, but it showed me he really had comedy chops. Though he could go, and for some reason they never let him go, which is disappointing. I kind of compared this performance to Tom Cruise jumping on the couch. It wasn't expected. It's like it's not his character. It's not his personality. It's just, all I can say is that we got to open the doors to let people just be themselves. Just let them be themselves.
I was wondering about, because the movie came out in 1990. Dan Aykroyd, obviously, he had Ghostbusters and became a huge star. I would say that he was pretty well known for SNL, so SNL made him famous. But Ghostbusters kind of solidified who he was. But
Blues Brothers as well.
Yeah, I forget about that. But I was trying to see if, because I got a theory that this movie was made, like I said, early 80s, mid 80s, when Dan wasn't quite Dan Aykroyd, as far as like wasn't how it widely known. I say Gene Hackman was probably known, but I feel like they shelved it until like Dan got hit or somebody had something else that came out. And they said, "Oh, we have this movie. Let's release it now with them in it." To kind of capitalize on their star power. And that's how I felt this movie was. It's kind of like Texas Chainsaw Massacre: The Next Generation.
Oh, wow.
They got Matthew McConaughey and Renee Zellweger to do the movie when they were like really not that well known.
Yeah, I actually understand the reference now.
they got that. They got him in there, and then later on, they blew up. Matthew McConaughey blew up with I would say Frailty. I'd say maybe there's some other stuff he did. That he
did Frailty, but he did Time to Kill way before then.
Yeah, Time to Kill.
I think Time to Kill is what really got him. He was working with Sam Jackson. I think was Kevin Spacey also in that as the other lawyer?
He was.
It was okay. Plus some other. You know, I mean, it had a great cast. Sandra Bullock's in it. Charlize Theron played his wife. I mean, it was a huge film.
It really was.
More people knew Sandra, I think, at that time than they did Matthew, which is crazy, you know, considering. But and
I would
Sam
say-
wasn't Sam, right? He wasn't
Mm.
like this huge star back in the early or the mid '90s. He was coming up, but I think this was around the same time he did 187 and Die Hard with a Vengeance.
Because looking at this, man, yeah, my point was, and then Renee Zellweger with Jerry Maguire, that's what
Yeah.
blew her up. And there's no question that's what did it for her, because she kind of blew up on the scene on that after that. But I would say, and then they released Texas Chainsaw Massacre Next Generation to capitalize on that. It came out like 2000, I felt like, right?
No. That was like mid 90s, 95, 96.
Okay, well, they released it to kind of capitalize,
Yeah.
and I've seen it in theaters. I've seen it in theaters. Seen it at the Blockbusters. Seen it at Blockbusters or one of those movie VHS stores, and I rented it because I knew Renee Zellweger, and I sort of knew Matthew McConaughey, and I wanted to see it. I'm like, oh, I kind of like this. They're in this.
Wait a second. You
I don't know why.
You rented it because you knew who Renee Zellweger was and Matthew McConaughey, but not because it's a Leatherface movie.
Well, I rented it because it's Texas Chainsaw Massacre as well. Because obviously, for me to rent it, I was in the horror section, so I had to be in the horror section.
Obviously, where else are you going to be?
And I seen it, and I was like, "Oh, they just, you know." Back then, I'm not ashamed to say, Brandon, I've rented stuff also based on the cover work. That's the only reason why I got Jack Frost, because there's a hologram cover, and I was like, "Oh, interesting."
Interesting.
Not interesting. Not interesting at all.
It's a killer snowman. In fact, it is the Jack Frost you're thinking
Yes.
of,
Not-
and not the
not-
Michael Keaton version.
Not to be confused with Michael Keaton. I bet you how many kids were screwed up with that mishap.
Oh, I didn't see it as a kid, so I saw it as
Children who go into the video store then
yeah.
to read Jack Frost, Michael Keaton, and have to stumble on Jack Frost with Shannon Elizabeth and Carrot in the tub. Totally different movie.
Totally different. Inspired by Freddy's glove in the tub, I'm assuming.
But my point was this initially, because I look at Dan Aykroyd's career. Ghostbusters, 84. It said he was in Indiana Jones, but Ghostbusters is what he's known for.
Was he in Indiana Jones?
It says he's in there. I don't remember him at all in Indiana Jones. Spies Like Us, not notable. Dragnet, not notable. I mean, it wasn't big. It wasn't a big movie.
Is that with Tom Hanks?
Yeah, Tom Hanks did it. She's Having a Baby is a cameo. Great Outdoors.
Well, that's a big one. Him and
That was a
John.
big. Caddyshack 2, not a big one. My Stepmother's an Alien. I liked it, but it wasn't a big one. Ghostbusters 2 was a flop. Driving Miss Daisy, nobody was there to see him. They're there for Morgan Freeman. They're there for Jessica Tandy. And then you have Loose Cannon.
Yeah, I'll be honest. The very first movie I saw Dan Aykroyd in wasn't even a comedy. It was My Girl. I was there for Macaulay Culkin. I ain't gonna lie.
Really?
That was the very first time I seen him. It's like, oh, he's a serious actor. I had no idea about Ghostbusters because I hadn't seen it at that time. I had no idea about the Blues Brothers. I had no idea about SNL. Yeah, I was like 7 or 8 years old. So I was like, My Girl, because I was a huge Macaulay Culkin fan, and that's what got me to watch that. But I loved him as Vada's dad, and I was like, somehow he got Jamie Lee Curtis. Don't know how that happened. Still to this day, I don't understand that. but I like this guy.
That's the second film with Jamie Lee. I didn't even think about that because he was in Trading Places.
Yeah, I hadn't seen that either.
Yeah.
My Girl was my first experience with Dan Aykroyd, and I became a fan. Then, of course, then I saw Blues Brothers and Ghostbusters, and I really like Blues Brothers. Like I'm a big fan of that. Ghostbusters, I wasn't a huge fan at first. It had to warm up to me. Trading Places, I never really got the comedy aspects of Dan Aykroyd's character till I was in my early 20s. I was like, okay, this guy can go. But when I saw Loose Cannons, I saw it in my 30s, pretty recent, like 4 or 5 years ago. And I was just so captivated by his character.
I want to say Matthew Carter's watching. Hey, Matthew. Matthew says, "Hey, Aaron and Brandon. I'm glad you enjoyed Loose Cannon. I have a couple. I have a couple ideas for movies for you to review. A summer camp movie starring Michael J. Fox called Poison Ivy. Never even heard of that.
I've heard of Poison Ivy, but we got to be thinking about two different Poison Ivies because I don't remember Michael J. Fox in that first one.
Yeah, Ernest Goes to Camp, and then Superman Returns.
I'd be interested in revisiting or visiting Michael J. Fox at a summer camp.
Not so much Ernest Goes to Camp. For me,
I hadn't seen Ernest Goes. I don't think I've ever seen Ernest Goes to Camp, honestly.
I've seen it when I was a kid. But so you could speak of the scene where Soup is beating. Okay, now I ain't gonna say it because you gotta. If Brandon hadn't seen, you seen Superman Returns, haven't you?
Is that the one with Kevin Spacey's Lex Luthor?
Yeah.
Yeah, once.
Okay. All right. Happy holidays to you, Matthew. All right. So my first experience of Dan Aykroyd would have been Ghostbusters, I would say. But I also remember somewhere as a child watching Twilight Zone, the movie, and him being in the opening sequence and getting freaked out by him, and so I kind of from the day forward, I don't trust Dan Aykroyd because of Twilight Zone, the movie. I don't trust you, Dan.
Wow.
I heard you have a pretty delicious bourbon, though. I don't know.
I didn't know where you were going with that.
He has a bourbon. Yeah, he's also very, very much into aliens.
Aliens? You wouldn't say.
Well,
what?
It checks out. It's his character Ray from Ghostbusters. Because he's an alien. It's just an extension of who Dan Aykroyd is. He's in Alien. Him and his brother. I think his brother's dead. I think his brother might have died. I'm not sure. But I don't like Dan Aykroyd like that, but I know a lot about him, and that's a hard place to be.
You know more about him than I do, and I like him. Well, but, I mean, so we meet Dan Aykroyd. He's
before we meet Dan, we meet Gene Hackman. He's at an apartment with in a building complex with a woman and a man having fun, but it sounds like animals.
Sexual relations, Aaron. It's okay to say we're all adults here.
Coitus. Anyway, they're having relations, and David Allen Green's there.
Yes, he is.
At first, I didn't realize it was him until like he turned around, and I was like, "Oh, David Allen Greer." I'm like, "Oh, he's in this movie," and I was thinking, "Oh, I hope he doesn't get killed." And now that's how Dan Aykroyd becomes his partner. That was my thought bubbles right there. I was like, "Oh, David Allen Greer's in it. I hope he doesn't die."
He doesn't,
because he disappears. It's like I wonder if he was gonna be in the movie more, but then he got Living Color, and it's like I can't do it no more. I got this other show called In Living Color. I'm gonna do that instead.
Yeah, they didn't exactly explain really why Gene Hackman was getting a new partner. It's just you're getting a new partner because you're you. It really, this movie, honestly, as much as I do like Dan Aykroyd in the movie, this movie has no sense. It just makes no sense. The plot doesn't make sense. Why Gene Hackman's getting a new partner doesn't make sense. Why Dan Aykroyd's in a monastery doesn't make any sense to me. He's got mental issues, yet he's hanging with monks. That's somehow a therapist, man. He's a monk therapist. Makes sense. It doesn't, but it's okay. Let's just run with it, Dan. And at this point, he's not doing voices. I don't believe. I don't think he was.
Brandon, you want to know why it doesn't make sense?
Because it's a Dan Aykroyd led movie.
It's because of this. I'm just saying.
Shame on you. You know what?
No.
I don't care. I don't care if it's a bad movie, if it's atrociously bad. I had fun with Dan Aykroyd. I can't say I had fun with the movie entirely, but I had fun when Dan Aykroyd was on screen.
Yeah, I will say that the part where they're in the bar and they're going to get the
that
Bella
was
Wheat,
trading places all over, man.
and he finally goes into his characters, and he goes into the Cowardly Lion.
I love that. I love that.
I was like,
You had the same expression Gene Hackman has. I bet you.
yeah. Also, I was thinking, why did Brandon choose this? That's what I was thinking. I was thinking that at that moment. I was like, what?
Honestly, I chose it.
When this movie ended, I'd grab that remote so fast to be like, click, so fast. I was like, okay. That's
Okay,
okay.
so for people that don't know, I originally was picking Thanksgiving, but I just wasn't in a horror mood. I wasn't in a slasher mood. I really didn't want to watch it.
We got a little bit of horror here, Brandon, with a severed head.
Well,
we didn't even mention that this was directed by Bob Clark. Bob Clark. For those who don't know. Okay. Bob Clark's filmography.
mhm.
You see this movie every year. A Christmas Story.
Oh, that Bob Clark.
And he also did Black Christmas. That's also Bob Clark.
The original or the remake?
Yes, the original.
Okay.
So sandwich between, not sandwich, but his filmography also includes this movie. This movie is in his filmography.
I mean, it's a weird one. I mean, Black Christmas.
It doesn't really make sense then in the case, if you think about it, because it's Bob Clark. Why?
I mean, I can't. Like, I honestly,
Porky's is his movie. Bob Clark.
okay. So
David Genius is his movie. Bob Clark.
anything else there? Do you want to add anything else about Bob Clark?
Super Babies is his movie. Bob Clark.
Never seen it.
Nobody's seen it. Bob Clark.
I think I've only seen 3 of his movies.
I think I've only seen.
This is my favorite, by the way.
No, sir. Shame on you, Brandon.
Yeah, this is my favorite. I'll tell you what my favorite would be. It would be A Christmas Story if I hadn't seen it 500 million times as a child.
He also did another movie.
24 hours a day on Christmas.
Let me show you another movie he did. You ready to see it?
Yeah. Oh, Rhinestone! I'm a Rhinestone cowboy. I sing as good as Sylvester Stallone in that movie, man. I love that movie. I know a lot of people hate it, but I love it.
That's also Bob Clark did that movie. So you have more films that you like from him.
Okay, Rhinestone's my favorite movie of his.
Are you serious? I've never seen this movie.
I love it. I'm gonna pick it. I'm gonna pick it.
Oh boy!
And when I think we got to sing a song together on it from that movie. preferably Rhinestone Cowboy.
Is that where that song comes from?
Yeah, I think he also sings Tutti Frutti on the piano. Oh, Stallone is awful as a singer. But he does have a tune by the end of the movie. I was like impressed. He's not a good singer, but he has somewhat of a tune. Like I love it. I love that movie though, man. It's Stallone, Dolly Parton. I mean, that is 80s personified right there. But
if I got to choose Bob Clark's film that I like, this is not in it. I'm just gonna throw that out there. But obviously, my favorite one would be Black Christmas. Then it would be Porky.
Why not Porky's Up for Black Christmas?
And then Christmas Story. Christmas Story would be number 4.
Okay, so
if I got to get 5 ones just to fill it out, I would put this movie up there because I can't
as much as I did.
Do Baby Geniuses.
Is that why it's not high on your list? Because you've seen it so many times?
So, the reason why Christmas Story isn't higher on my list is because I think I can't even think about the name of it now, but it's a much better movie. The one that came out on Max a few years ago. Much better movie. It's a much better Christmas Story movie than Christmas Story. With
Aaron, we did a double. We did a versus mode of that movie, and we both agreed Christmas Story was so much better than the sequel.
No, yeah, Christmas Story is better than the sequel. Yes, I'm just saying, not a Christmas Story on Max, not that one, not the sequel. I'm talking about the one with
So he did a sequel. He did the original.
Neil Patrick Harris.
Oh, 8-Bit Christmas.
8-Bit Christmas, yeah.
Okay.
That's a much better. I
agree with that.
That's a much better Christmas Story than the Christmas Story movie itself. Maybe because for me, I can relate more to.
Yeah, you relate to it. You're right because it was a Nintendo. It was. Yeah, I understand that. I relate to it more too. I didn't want a BB gun for Christmas. It wasn't, but that was probably the thing back in the 40s. Because they didn't have video game systems that I'm aware of. But yeah, we're so off topic.
That's fine. So he did all the Porky's movies. He did every single Porky's movie.
Yeah. Okay. Let's get off Bob Clark. Let's get back on loose cannons.
Okay.
What did you think of Dan Aykroyd when you first meet him? Before he started becoming
he's kind of like throwing up, but then his detail, he's very Adrian Monk like as a reference for me when it comes to the way that he pays attention to the crime scene and everything like that. I thought he did really good. The way he can explore the crime scene to tell you what happened and the trajectory and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought he's very smart, but I felt like they kind of abandoned that aspect of his personality once you find out that he has a split personality. And I felt like they should have kept that facet of him as well and worked in with split personality. But it eventually became, and I can only reference other stuff I've seen, it eventually became Lethal Weapon in a sense of before the Lethal Weapon with
Joe Pesci.
Joe Pesci, yeah, the three of them. It's with Dom DeLuise. It kind of became that, but him being crazy and Gene Hackman's like, and then also there's this whole running plot of Gene Hackman loves his car, and he's moving, but he's in his car and he has all the stuff on his car.
Yeah,
it's a very sloppy movie.
Yeah, I agree. It's sloppy. Now my feeling of Dan, I mean, I've stated I love him in this movie. I love how animated he became. Honestly, he reminded me a lot of Jim Carrey before Jim Carrey. Especially when he's a Roadrunner. I have never seen a human being become a roadrunner in my life. But watching him do it, I almost fell off my couch. I almost fell off of it. I was laughing so hard. It just his facial expressions too. I didn't like envision him being the roadrunner. I envisioned him more like a geese, but doing roadrunner sounds. I just thought it was hilarious. I did. Now the story of the movie, I don't really know what it's about. That the beginning of the movie, you said there was a car chase scene. There's something to do with the porn theaters. It was like a huge mess. Like, so you said sloppy. It was very sloppy. The narrative of this movie is sloppy. It's all over the place.
Hey, let me tell you some insight. It will explain to the sloppiness. There's 3 writers of this movie: Bob Clark, Richard Matheson, and Richard Christian Matheson.
Richard Matheson from the guy that did I Am Legend, the writer.
But he also wrote Jaws 3D. Did they help you at all?
Did he? Okay, this is not the same guy then.
It might be. It might be the same guy. I don't know.
I can't imagine that guy wrote Jaws 3 that wrote I Am Legend.
He wrote the novel for I Am Legend. Yeah.
Okay, it is the same guy. What happened? Actually, Jaws 3 is not that bad of a story. Its direction's all over the place, but as a story, shark get into SeaWorld, that's not bad. That's actually a very interesting concept. It just wasn't done well on screen. But on paper,
Hobbs is who you blame for that.
Yeah, I blame Universal mostly for it. They probably got in the way, because they got in the way in part 2. I do know that for sure. That's why Spielberg didn't want to come back.
What's your thoughts on the subplot that essentially Hitler didn't commit suicide, but rather he was killed by this other guy who may or may not be a Nazi? Nazi soldier?
I thought it was just a dumb subplot. Honestly, as like it was more like, oh, that happened. Okay.
You know when I think of Ronnie Cox, I immediately think about him. Wasn't he not able to breathe on Total Recall? Like, was he dying?
Like real life?
Was he no? Like when Arnold Schwarzenegger goes onto the surface of Mars,
yeah,
or wherever they're at, and he's starting to like dying because he can't breathe. Isn't he the other guy that's outside with him? There's 2 people outside. That is him. I don't remember. I just remember he was the bad guy in most things except for Beverly Hills Cop.
Yeah, I think he couldn't breathe. Yeah, I guess he was a bad guy in most things except for that movie. Because I haven't seen it many movies that he's been in personally. I mean, RoboCop stands out. And Beverly Hills Cop. There was something else he did that he was a bad guy in. I can't really remember what it was called though. But yeah, I vaguely remember him in Total Recall. Vaguely, I haven't seen that movie. It's not like one of my favorite Arnold movies. It's a personal opinion that I know a lot of people love that movie. I just thought it. I don't know. I thought something was off, in that movie. But I know I'm in the rare, because it's beloved. It's like a lot of people consider it up there with Terminator and Terminator 2, and I don't. But I think it's solid. Now, growing up with it, I hated it.
Yeah. I will say that I feel like this movie, Dan Aykroyd.
Come on, you had to like the Roadrunner.
No,
you didn't like the Roadrunner?
I was just over. Did he sound like Popeye at one point?
Yes, he was Popeye too. Popeye the Sailor Man. Choo choo. Come on, where's your sense of humor?
No, okay. The one part that and that was just the moment where I was over the personality, and I say the exact moment where I was like, I'm done with these personalities. Is in the car chase scene, and he's driving, and he's literally going through every character from Star Trek. Essentially, he was Spock, he was Kirk,
Yes.
he was Scotty.
Yes, it's
I'm
great.
pretty sure he was the Doc. He was.
Now,
I'm surprised he wasn't Aurora. He was everyone.
do you remember if he was a NASCAR driver at one point? Because I originally saw it, I remember him becoming this NASCAR driver. When I watched it last night, I didn't see that scene, so I was just kind of wondering if you saw it, or maybe I just totally imagined it being better than it was 4 or 5 years ago.
I didn't see it. I totally just was thinking, what happened with this?
Oh man, it's a shame that you didn't get its comedy, but maybe only a select few can get it.
Oh, yeah, this is fun trivia about this movie. In May of 2013, employees at the Calgary, Alberta landfill discovered some film negatives in the mounds of trash. They looked closer and found images of a man kneeling over a gruesome murder victim, thinking it could be evidence of a crime. He submitted the negatives to Calgary Police Services. After a short investigation, they recognized Dan Aykroyd and contacted his agent for information, finally concluding that it was simply the discarded negatives of loose cannon. The investigation was immediately closed and everyone had a good laugh. Actually, jokingly to TMZ, the movie should have been left in the landfill where it belongs.
He also trashed the Ghostbusters female-led sequel after it came out.
Mm.
If it's a hit, he's gonna praise it. That's just how he is. If it's a miss, he's gonna trash it. But that's just how he is. But at the time, I'd say he was proud of this. I would say he was proud of his performance.
So Paul Kouslow replaced J.T. Walsh in the role of Grimmer. Walsh had been originally cast in the film, but was fired after only 2 days of work. He had co-starred in Wired, sensationalized biography about John Belushi. His involvement in the film upset Dan Aykroyd, who was a friend and frequent collaborator with Belushi. They had worked together a number of times on SNL, on TV. And so Dan Aykroyd got J.T. Walsh fired from this movie because he didn't like the way that he portrayed Belushi in Wired. I would say for J.T. Walsh, it's probably a blessing in disguise he was fired from this movie.
I just would have loved to see J.T. Walsh in this movie.
J.T. Walsh is excellent, but
also I kind of feel like maybe Dan had a bit of an ego at this point in his career.
Chevy Chase isn't going.
I think it happens with the SNL people. You know, I honestly do. I think Eddie had an ego. I know Chevy had one. Bill Murray had one. I don't know about Chris Farley. I can't say. Adam Sandler never's had one. He's just solid. He's solid like that. But a lot of them have had egos. Will Ferrell has an ego. From interviews that I've heard. You know, Kevin Hart didn't come from there, but he's kind of got ego now. But yeah, I don't know. Dan's just from what you're saying, getting people fired. It just seems like he had an ego.
Yeah,
I don't know how in the world you fired an actor the caliber of a J.T. Walsh, though. I don't.
Well,
I don't.
Yeah,
That.
but I feel like I don't know. I feel like this movie. I was wanting to see because this movie has to be a movie that Dan Aykroyd and for that matter, Gene Hackman, they can't be proud of this movie. Gene is dead
it's
now.
more surprising to me that Gene Hackman was in a movie like this.
Is Gene still alive or did he die?
Yeah. No, he's still alive. Yeah, he became an author. Honestly, he writes books now.
Well, that's good. Yeah, this movie, man. I don't know, man. I felt like Gene Hackman was forced to do this.
Why would he be forced though? This was like he's top dog, right? At this point, 1990. Well, even if it was late 80s, I mean he's done.
He had Mississippi Burning.
Yeah, he had Hoosiers. I mean he's.
He had Superman. He had the Superman stuff. He blew up.
Yeah, I mean he's huge. He's like one of the top dogs in Hollywood at this point.
Well, I would say, I wonder if it's one of those things where, hey, the studio wants you to do this because you owe them a picture or something like that, or is it just a solid? Hey, Bob Clark did something for you. You got to do it for faithful Bob Clark. I don't know.
Or maybe he just wanted to give comedy a try because he didn't really do a lot of comedies in his career. I can only think of this, Welcome to Mooseport with Ray Romano, and The Replacements with Keanu Reeves.
Get Shorty. He didn't Get Shorty.
Yeah, he is in Get Shorty. Yeah, 1994. That was Travolta's after Pulp Fiction. His little resurgence he got for a few years. He did Battlefield Earth.
He did Ants.
Gene Hackman did Ants.
Yeah, he was Mandible.
With Stallone? He did Ants with Stallone.
Yeah.
I've seen it once. I thought it was awful.
Terrible movie.
Yeah.
It came out at the same time as close to the same time as Bug's Life, and Bug's Life was a much better movie.
Oh yeah, it was much better.
And so it's just it had the stupid Z at the end of it. It's just product of its time. But anyway, this movie sucked. No, I'm glad you liked it.
I'm not gonna give it the greatest score, but
he did Birdcage with Robin Williams.
Yes, he is in that with Nathan Lane. Yeah.
You know, I've never actually fully watched that movie. I would be interested.
Robin's amazing in that movie. Nathan Lane's amazing in that movie.
Nathan Lane's amazing in everything. I feel like I've never seen him in a role that I didn't like him in.
You didn't like that one movie you did though with Joaquin Phoenix, the one I beloved. I didn't promote it like I did Meg or anything, but I mean it's a much better film than Meg. But I can't even think of what it's called now. Beau's Not Afraid. I just treasure that movie because it was so different.
But I probably liked him though. I like Joaquin. Joaquin was good.
Joaquin's amazing.
Joaquin's an excellent actor. You can't take that from him. But then Nathan's excellent too. It's just that movie's confusing. I don't understand.
I love it. I love the confusing.
But then again, this year, the movie that I loved so far has been The Substance, and that is
I haven't seen it.
It's bonkers.
Yeah.
It's just crazy. You got access. You should watch it.
I got access, but I got a lot of access.
Before the end of the year.
I'm going to try. I'm trying to get as much as I can. It's just it's a lot that I've missed. I haven't even seen Joker 2 yet, man.
I felt like Gene was having fun with this movie, though. I do feel like Dan was having fun with this movie.
Dan had a blast. He just had a blast.
Let me see.
I feel like though, when Dan was being Dan, he was just. I feel like these were skits for like SNL or something. They just like, hey, just do what you did there. Just do it on here. You're a cop. Just come up with all these different types of characters you can create from these TV shows or old movies or whatever, and just run wild with it. And I absolutely loved it. and this is the truth. It's what kept me engaged into the movie. Like it took you out of the movie, all these different personalities. It's what kept me interested in the movie.
This movie. I'm gonna show you the scores.
Oh, I know they're low. I do. I know it.
I don't know if you can see that.
I can't see it. 0% on Rotten Tomatoes, 27% on the audience. You know, I can be, you know, I can be diverse here. I still like it. I'm not gonna give it a great score, but I still like it.
Somebody said that this odd couple does not work for one moment.
Yeah, I don't feel they had any chemistry.
Someone,
I really didn't.
This is probably you. I love this movie. Dan Aykroyd was hysterical. As was Dom DeLuise. Gene Hackman was perfect straight man. I laughed so hard. My stomach hurt. I couldn't get through it
This is my
until
person right here. We're on the same wavelength here. Yes.
until the third try. It came at a time when life was difficult and I really needed a good laugh. Brandon, did you like this review?
I did not write it. I'm just saying we're on the same wavelength here. I totally agree with that.
Oh man.
When you don't have much to look forward to in life and you find a movie like this, it just makes you laugh. And that's all you want out of life. You just want to laugh a little bit. You know? Aaron, you need to laugh more. You need to laugh more.
I do. It's something funny.
But you like Jim Carrey, man.
I love Jim.
Did you not get a little bit of this is Jim before Jim? Did you not feel that Dan Aykroyd was a little bit of Jim in this? No, none whatsoever. I did. I felt it was like Jim Carrey before Jim Carrey arrived.
You know, I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm gonna be.
I love it when you're honest with me, Aaron. It makes me feel good inside.
Out of all the Ghostbusters,
you hate him the most.
Dan is the bottom of the barrel as far as like the one that will pop up in a movie and I'm like, oh, let me watch this.
Okay. You don't mean Ghostbusters itself. You just mean
no. I'm talking about like it's like any of our core people that is the Ghostbusters. I'm talking about Ernie Hudson. I'm talking about you don't
Bill, mean it like as a Ghostbuster. You're talking about they do movies outside of Ghostbusters.
Yeah. When you see it pop up, I'm like so if Dan Aykroyd, I'm like Dan is in this. I'm like okay. I remember just to prove my point. I remember in what's that movie with it has John Cusack.
Is that where he's the Hitman?
Hitman and Dan Aykroyd boss,
something like that.
Gross Point Blank maybe. But yeah, when Dan pops up, I remember like audibly like feeling that way. There's only one movie that I recently watched and he popped up and I was excited to see him. And that was actually I was watching on TV the other night, Tommy Boy. And I was like, oh yeah, I like Dan in this movie.
And he's also in my favorite Jason Biggs solo comedy, Loser, with Mina Savari and Greg. I love that movie. I don't care what anybody says. Hey, I can stand alone, man. It's fine with me.
The best thing that came from that movie is the word a scotch. Turn it down a scotch. I use that word to this day.
Scotch.
Yeah. I use that word to this day because
I love the love story, man. I love the love story between Jason and Mina in that movie.
I forgot Jason Biggs. Jason Biggs had some flops. Like they felt like he was gonna be like American Pie springboarded him, but he could never say.
That's with all of them though.
David Silverman.
I tell you what, though.
Loser, huh?
I tell you what, though. You may not like all of his movies, but of all that core group, he's the biggest star still today.
Yeah. I mean,
Sean William Scott. Sean William Scott can't do anything without being referenced as Stifler.
Yeah.
He can't. Chris Klein you're still Oz, man.
Yeah.
You tried to branch out as an action star. It didn't work for you. You're still Oz. The
Yeah.
other dude, Finch, I don't even know your real name.
Yeah, I see it pop up and stuff. I'm like, yeah, it's Fitch.
It's
Fitch is
Finch.
in here.
Jason Biggs
Uh,
pops up. It's not the
and
guy
then
that
the other-
headsets with the pie.
the-
He's
the
got
other
other
guy-
names. I know them.
Then the other guy, I was like, last time I
Rookie of
seen
the Year.
him in a movie, last time I seen him in a movie, he was literally getting killed by Michael Myers.
Oh
in
yeah,
Halloween.
yeah. Halloween Resurrection.
Literally, my last time seeing him was in that movie.
Like, but when I think of him though, Thomas Ian Nichols, I think Rookie of the Year. Honestly, I don't even know his name in American Pie.
I go American Pie immediately. I don't go Rookie of the
I
Year.
always go Rookie of the Year. It was a special movie, I guess, for me back in the day. I mean, I know who he is. I know he's in American Pie. I know he's one of the core. But I do not remember his name. I know all their names, but I don't remember his. He just didn't stand out other than he was like Jim's best friend. You know?
Yeah.
Do you know his name in the movie?
In American Pie?
Yeah.
No.
No.
I remember Jim. I'm just gonna say Jim's dad, which is Eugene Levy. You have Oz Maker. You have Stifler.
Mm-hmm.
His mom, Finch. That guy.
His girlfriend is played by Tara Reid, who's Vicky. I know
Yeah.
his girlfriend's name, but I don't know his name, and it's so sad.
I even know Shermanator.
Shermanator, yes. And
I know
Michelle,
Yeah.
that's who Jim ends up with. I can't think of.
I remember the Tree guys, which was Blink 182. He said that guy's in my Tree class. And they're the ones that like he had Travis from there was the whole group there essentially was Blink 182 because they did a lot of music for that movie.
Kevin. His name's Kevin.
Did you look it up or did you just think about it?
It just came to me.
I'm glad you remembered his name is Kevin.
He's probably glad too.
You always forget now that his name is Kevin. Anyway, back to Loose Cannons, which I'm sorry I misspelled this. I didn't put an S in it. Loose Cannons is
Aaron
different.
has no respect for loose cannons. It's clear. No respect.
I'm going to put an S at the end of it. So they know that I'm not to be confused with the other Loose Cannon movie that might be an action movie. I don't know. This movie is pretty trash. In my opinion, I'm ready to give you my numbers. Oh, by the way, the end of it, so Dan Aykroyd is shot in the butt, I think. No, Dom DeLuise was shot in the butt. Dan Aykroyd was shot in the leg, and he thinks he's gonna die. Gene Hackman's chasing the bad guy. He finds the film. He's running from the bad guy. They're on top. There is Grand Central Station, by the way, which is famously portrayed in the Untouchables. I think that's the same station from Untouchables. I think. I don't know. I hadn't seen the movie in so long.
It is correct. It is.
Because I remember the stairs and stuff like that. That it's very beautiful. Also, Miracle in 34th. I think it's in there too. I don't know.
All right.
It's been filmed. It's in a lot of film movies. But anyway, Dan Aykroyd starts doing voices again. What voices does he do, Brandon?
At the end, I don't really remember. Honestly, I don't remember.
I think he does Popeye. I think I heard. No, he does the Roadrunner. No,
He does Roadrunner. Roadrunner just has stood out for me for the most part because it's not the voice of the Roadrunner; it's his facial expressions and him walking like the Roadrunner. What are you doing, Dad? I love it. I just love it. It's so stupid.
I think there's a part where he's like, Gene Hackman's like, "Hey, shoot him." And he said, "I don't have a gun." And then he says, "But the thing about him, he's insane, so he may have a gun." He says, "Yeah, you're right. I may have a gun. I might just be lying." Or something like that. And
He was lying because he had a gun.
he had a gun.
But I think
And the guy dies in watermelons.
before you give your thoughts on or your final score, I love the one aspect I love of Gene Hackman in this movie is when he gets to see Dan Aykroyd's character become all these characters in the bar. And he's like, I don't really know him all that well. It's like, nobody does. It's great. I love it. I love it though. Just
Shout out my buddy Bill Dozer, who's watching. You should always check out his stuff too. He is excellent with when it comes to like his podcast. He has a different podcast as well. Really good stuff. Anyway, yeah, this movie, man.
go ahead, give me your score.
I'm gonna give it 2 out of 5. Mark out.
I am so surprised you went up with it. I saw your review on Letterboxd last night.
Yeah,
I think it was
yeah.
last night or was this morning.
I said the what?
The what?
Movie.
Were you referencing Jaws? Because
No,
that's what I got from that. I was like, the what?
I'll tell you what I was referencing. Hold up. But oh, let's see. But yeah, I went a little higher because Gene Hackman and Dan Aykroyd. I like them. Sorta. But I don't like this movie.
Yeah, it's understandable.
I'm referencing this.
I don't know what is this.
This is a meme. Where
I know it's a meme. What is it referencing?
What? Like if somebody sees something, or you see something that's just weird or crazy, or
See,
it's like,
I
what
thought
is
you were referencing Jaws because when he said it's a tiger shark. What?
Oh no.
But you just put in the. I don't know. It just so a 2. Gives it a 2.
Is that why you get? Is that why you doing Jaws today? Because of that?
No. I was working out, and then I went to my parents, and then I
You
went to
working
get my
job?
nephew. I worked out. What?
You conquering those beaches, huh? Them games.
No. Cardio. That's what I'm conquering. I can't
Okay.
lift.
Yeah,
I
you
can't
can't.
lift anything.
He can't lift, guys. You're right.
You don't have to do it like that because I can't.
He cannot. He doesn't lift anything.
You shouldn't say nothing. Don't say nothing because you're not helping. You're making it feel like it's a lie when it's not. I really can't lift.
Yeah,
I'm not allowed to lift anything over like 10 pounds. So
he's not allowed at all to lift anything over 10 pounds.
stop it.
What's your mark, bro?
All right, my mark. I gave it a 2.5 on Letterboxd. I honestly can't give it a 3. I can't because I feel like the movie it just doesn't flow well. Its narrative is all over the place. But I do agree with you though. I like Gene Hackman in it. He's fine. But what kept me really interested was the different personalities of Dan Aykroyd. And I absolutely had a blast with that. It was very silly, very crazy. But I was just like, I'm here for this. So I'm going to give it a 2.5 for those two guys. The rest of the movie was trash. But if you're watching it, here's how I look at it. You got to watch it for something so stupid. You got to walk in thinking, okay, this is going to be like one of the dumbest things I've ever seen. And I think if you watch it in that kind of mindset, you'll have a decent time which is what I had. I had a decent time.
All right. Well, next week I'm going to do a viewer choice pick. I was wanting to do something that's Thanksgiving themed or something like that. I didn't know what I was doing, but it's not a bunch of Thanksgiving things. I was thinking about Blood Rage at one point, which is like a Thanksgiving themed horror movie I've never seen.
I haven't
you're-
either, I don't think. I mean, the title sounds familiar, but I can't recall.
Yeah. So I was thinking about that, but then I was like, well, my buddy Craig wanted us to review Dinner in America. And I was like, okay, I will. I don't know what to expect. I don't know anything about the movie. So we'll watch it. Hopefully I like it. Because clearly my taste in movies has changed a bit.
Oh, yeah, it's like, at least it's new. And I like the actor in it, so
Yeah. Yeah, it's from 2020, I think.
2022.
Yeah. So it's like a couple years old. But yeah, it'd be interesting to watch it. And then maybe next year, God willing, I might choose Blood Rage for Thanksgiving. I'm pretty sure it'll be on Tuesday. I don't know. I don't know nothing about it. For me to be a fan of horror, there's a lot of stuff I haven't really seen. Like in the 80s, like 80s horror movies.
Yeah.
A lot of I learned this from our choice of was it Blood Hook? Was that in the 80s? I feel like it was the 80s.
I don't remember.
And then
I know we did some weird ones this year.
the one in the store.
I can't remember the name of it, but it was great. It was really fun.
Yeah, that was like the Intruder. I think.
Intruder, yes. I actually put that up there with Pieces.
Yeah. I mean, I enjoyed it, but my point is, there's movies in the 80s that I've never seen. I guess what I did is I stayed more towards the well-known stuff, like the Jason Voorhees, Michael Myers.
Is that like?
Do
you know Blood Rage is like at a drive-in?
I don't know.
I've seen one at a drive-in, but I don't know. I don't remember the name of it.
I remember a movie that I thought it freaked me out as a kid, and as a grown up, I tried to rewatch it. I've never been able to watch it. Just can't get into it. Demon. Because I remember them meeting in the theater, and I remember there's a scene where somebody get a mask and they put it on, and then their face get cut or something, and then they become affected, like they're becoming a demon. And I was like, "What is this?" And it freaked me out. But I think every time I go back to watch it, I just don't like it. I think I don't like it because it's one of those movies that it's supposed to be in America, but you could tell it's shot somewhere else, like Italy or something like that. Like you remember Rumble in the Bronx?
Yeah.
With, I felt like it's supposed to be in New York, but I just feel like it's shot somewhere else. I just feel like it was in America, and it just kind of takes me out. I'm like, it takes me out of movies. I'm like, yeah, it's not. It isn't. Like the dialogue is stilted. It just takes me out.
I don't think I want to say I've seen Rumble in the Bronx because that was a big deal when it came out. That was a huge deal for Jackie.
It was his introduction to American movies.
Yeah. You sure it wasn't shot in New York and they just used Asian actors?
Where was Rumble? I don't know.
But I do agree with you with the, I don't know.
It was filmed 1995. Rumble in Bronx was filmed in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada.
Oh, it was in Canada.
Yeah.
Well,
But
it wasn't in
it
Asia.
was not in Canada, but I feel like
You didn't feel like New York or the Bronx.
But I say the same thing about I feel like when you watch Friends and they're on the street, I feel like you can tell that street is like a soundstage. It's not a street. You can tell it feels fake. Whereas like with Seinfeld, I feel like whenever you see them on the street, they're on the street. So
Yeah.
that's how it's just me.
No, I agree with that. I actually agree with that. Yeah, Friends felt like a soundstage while Seinfeld felt authentic when they were out.
Yeah.
Not taking away from the comedy of Friends, it didn't feel as authentic, I guess.
Yeah. I'm sorry we got off on, but what do you want the people to do?
I don't know what I want the people to do anymore. If you like this episode, you want to see more, click that like, subscribe, comment, share, enjoy yourselves. Have a happy Thanksgiving. Well, we will be back next week, guys, right? So we can wish you a happy Thanksgiving next week. But happy Thanksgiving either way.
I'm hoping this dinner in America is going to be good.
Well, I'm sure he wouldn't.
Open-minded and hopefully I enjoy it. Because he said, "Oh, I love it."
Well, maybe I love it. Positive attitude. Come on.
He did go. He did watch. I would say this. He did watch. Truck Turner, and I think he enjoyed it.
What is Truck Turner?
Exactly. It's a movie starring Isaac Hayes. It's like a Shaft ripoff. But it's done in the blaxploitation days. It's pretty terrible, but it's pretty great. You should watch it. You'll love it. It's pretty bad, but it's pretty great.
I'm not so certain I would love it.
It's ABF. It's ABF for sure.
It sounds like it.
Well, we thank you for tuning in to us today. Thank you for. If you want to see Loose Cannon, it is on Tubi, and watch it. Tubi's free. You might really enjoy Dan Aykroyd. And let me know what you think about it. Let me know if you watched it. If you have anything you want us to review, let us know in the comment section, and we will choose it. Matthew, thank you for watching. I will say, we'll try to get to your suggestions. All three of them eventually. You said Poison Ivy, which I've never seen. Ernest Goes to Camp, which I've seen. And then you mentioned Superman Returns, which I haven't seen in years. So, yeah.
He also mentioned a while back Green Mile.
It's hard for me to watch Green Mile.
Why? It's like one of the best movies.
It's great. It's great. It's just so emotional, and
yeah, I agree.
A lot to do with. It's a lot to do with.
Man,
I still don't like that they killed John Coffey. I'm just saying, John Coffey.
But it made sense.
So he did nothing wrong to nothing.
He didn't do anything wrong, but it made sense why they killed him and why he was being punished for it.
Racism. That's why they killed him.
That's not why Tom and them killed him, though. But it is why. Was it in Georgia or Mississippi?
They like to say Mississippi.
It felt like Mississippi.
Yeah. Felt like somewhere where I shouldn't belong at that time period. It's what it felt like. It felt like, although I'll revisit because it has such a great cast. The whole cast is pretty great. So yeah,
Sam Rockwell was phenomenal.
Was Spielberg that did it?
No, it wasn't a Spielberg film.
King
adaptation though, yeah.
But it wasn't Spielberg that did it.
Mm-mm.
Who did it?
I don't remember, but I know Spielberg didn't direct it.
Hey, who directed it?
It felt like the guy that did Shawshank Redemption, though. But he did Walking Dead, so I'm pretty sure he didn't do that.
Ain't no way they wrong with it. Hey Siri, who directed The Green Mile? Frank Darabont Okay, that's better.
It is the same guy that did Shawshank Redemption and the Walking Dead creator. That's cool.
He knows his prisons. All right, we thank you all
And
for
he did The
tuning in.
Mist. He's done 3.
Great movie.
He's another guy that knows Stephen King. We
thank you
found
for-
someone else.
Yeah.
Besides,
Well, thank you for tuning in. Aaron Whitlow.
I'm Brandon Spivey.
Thanks for marking out with us here on the Mark Out Movie Podcast. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you next week. Everybody, enjoy your turkey if you get something in between there.